Hey, good morning to you, JB. Oh, crikey, forgot my gloves. There we go. Glove. Need the gloves. You never know what kind of crazy substances you're going to put your fingertips on around here. Just get these freshly printed ring lights adapters out of the way. Hey, fix it. PR. Just pop this chat out. Alright. You guys are front and center. I mean, I need 6. To realize someone does not have their glasses on. I mean, I can see without them, but yeah, the glasses do help. They're kind of like a handy assistant. We've had some very cool, dry weather, and as a consequence, the 3D prints have come out really nicely now. Didn't have to trim up much at all, if anything. So I'm subsequently just printing out a whole bunch of them now while it's nice and dry. Oops. I did make some modifications though to the print for the next batch. Made the hole here a little bit wider for the new inserts. The new ones have a slightly broader insert flange, so I'm compensating for that. And also to speed up the printing, because I'm now using 1.7mm by 5mm self-tappers, I don't need the hole to go all the way through, so 75% of the main ring can just be a very quick print. Whereas currently, well, with these ones, it spends a good portion of the time going around that hole and just doesn't have to anymore. But yeah, these new inserts, they don't have much of a, like I said, they don't have much of a flange or lead-in skirt. But I've got a, you can't see it, I'll show you in a bit. I've got a tool that I made to deal with that. Mostly because what's happening now is that the insert starts pushing the plastic ahead of itself. And so when you try to put the nylon screw through, it just hits this wall of remelted PETG. Did I only put 5 out? I could have sworn I took 6 out, but clearly I can't count. Hey, Samir. And so that I don't have, hopefully I don't have too many dramas, I've gone along and ordered another 1,000 of these. Because one of the most frustrating parts about manufacturing is when you find a good supply, but then you don't quickly or immediately, no, I lost my brass nut. When you don't immediately or quickly follow up and purchase a whole lot more. And then if you don't do that, then when it comes time to restock, you find that they no longer have them, they've gone out of business, so the price has gone up to 10 times what you're prepared to pay, all sorts of stuff like that. Hey there, Tesla. Alright, so there's a bit of plastic pushed through. Might be able to see it here on the camera, I'm not sure, but anyway, it blocks the way of the nylon nut coming through. But that's okay. I took a M3 metal nut and I ground it down in such a way that it'll actually act as a cutter and clear the crap out of the way. I still do need to use, I think it's a 15, no, 10. Yep, 10 is it. And that's cleared. It seems to mostly just happen with one side, so there must be a print. Oh no, that one's decided to be both. Alright. Fortunately, the steel is obviously doesn't have to be that strong or hard because it's only dealing with the plastic. Hopefully, however, with the next iteration that I'm printing now, it won't even be an issue. So I may have just made this for the sole purpose of clearing out six holes. Sooner or later I'll have to get myself another 3D printer. So I'm thinking of getting the S1 Pro. But then I'm probably also going to buy a filament heater dryer, since I've been given a demonstration of the difference already by nature itself. Because they were getting pretty gnarly, lots of like looping and stuff like that. And then the last couple of days have been nice and dry, and all of a sudden the print goes really beautifully, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see now. This is fairly fresh filament as well. It's only been out of the bag for a week or so, something like that. When it first came out of the bag, it was producing very nice prints, and then it sort of got a bit squirrely. I didn't really think much of it. Okay, that's another 3 done. I'll have to do some black ones later too, but they're probably going to get a bit messy. Oh, better put the nylon inserts in. Hey, laptop. I do apologise, there haven't been really any repairs lately. It's just, it's what happens when they don't get sent to you. There was a iPad Mini 5 that I just did today, but that was just a screen replacement. Though I must say it was quite a considerable pain in the backside to do it. Which is kind of sad because the iPad Mini 5 is a combined, combined display and glass in one. So you would think it'd be pretty straightforward. But it did not end up being that way, and I don't know whether it was because it was an aftermarket screen. I mean, it was a high-grade aftermarket screen, not the cheap ones, but it still had a little bit of fitting problems and stuff like that, and anyway, we'll see. I do have a few thousand more of these screws now too, these nylon screws. Like I said, once you get rolling, you just got to go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff and hope that you actually do get through at least half of it before the market moves on or something like that. the next thing I've got to worry about is getting more replacement heat sinks, because I went to go buy another couple of hundred from the supplier and they've gone. And it's like, yeah, which is a pain. And the ones that I'm using are slightly different. They're 10mm thick rather than this more standard 6mm that most people sell. And then the ones that I can find, the price is just quite high. Okay. I just like to get those ring lights out of the way, the adapters out of the way, and they're ready to be utilized. Okay. My USB mini sockets did arrive, along with a whole bunch of other 7805 regulators. That was from DigiKey. Oh, I forgot to put that back in the... But now we're waiting on more displays. Hey, horse. That's interesting. We've got one different kind of aluminium back there. I don't know if that shows up differently. Yeah, it does. Should have cleaned the bench a little bit first rather than just throwing a bunch of stuff on there. Okay, what are we going to use? 80-20. Gets the dirt and the chemicals. This is the problem I do find, however, with the very plain silicon mats, is that if there are any blemishes on it, it really shows up. What would be nice if I could find a silicon mat that had a slight pattern in it, but nothing quite as busy as the threaded pattern that I have had before. Oh, that's right, I've got to paste these up first. Paste your boards up. If I'm going to sit here for hours being bored making these things, you're going to have to watch me as well. Oops. And somebody didn't buy more glue today, so that I could tack down some more boards. Why didn't anyone tell me that both my audio sources were on? You bunch are useless. How did you not have the triple echo come through? Hey there, Santa Claus. I've been bad, so expect coal, and then I can sell the coal for a good price. big blob. It's going to be a bit of a mess. We're already starting to over blob. Yep, I'm gonna have to come up with a better solution. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that. Just a single pass. It should have covered everything that I need to cover. Chat's very quiet today. I don't have a huge problem with that, but just kind of interesting. Normally there's someone going gangbusters about something. It's almost like YouTube's not even pushing this one out. There's several people that would normally turn up almost an instant and they haven't. What you need is text to voice. Hey, Alan. Ah, okay. There we go. I feel happier now. The channel, the channel deviant has arrived. Oh, laptop, no, nothing, nothing yet. I'm basically just going to have to do a Hail Mary and buy another battery for it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, you know, it's 40 odd dollars I've wasted in an attempt. But then I can still charge the customer 75 or so for the bench time, or 50 for the bench time. So I won't lose money per se directly. other than, you know, with time. It seems to be the only way out for me. Just get in the vacuum pump. Okay. Hey there, Mr. Allen. This green strip with the tape on it is working much better than what I was dealing with before, so I'm happy about that. First few LEDs are always a bit of a dud shot. It's kind of like when you're making pancakes or pikelets or crepes. The first one or two are a bit of a dud till you get your temperature and technique up to scratch. And they're the ones you get to eat, because you can't present them to the people you're feeding. Unless, of course, it's your family, in which case, yeah, serve it up. Oh no, of all the strips that I pulled out the short one. I knew it was going to bite me in the beehive. Alright, that's annoying. Now I've got to find the sacrificial strip so that I don't sacrifice yet another one. I thought it looked a smidge short, and I was right. Carrie Fisher would have been onto that. I'm sure it was short to be there it is. The sacrificial strip. Yeah, the grey strip is sort of, it's tolerable, but it's, yeah, it like I said, I'm having to make up for it with actual content rather than just relying on the bling bling of the beautiful pink or whatever, or blue. Instead, I have to actually do something. Unrealistic demands. Okay. Well, at least I cleared out that short strip, so I shouldn't encounter it again, I hope. At least I don't think I've got two in there. Famous last words. It is not easy picking the bevel out on that. Dance. Very professional way of doing that. If it works, that's all that matters. I can just pick up these these D packs with the vacuum pump, but it's just so fiddly. It's not worth it. By the way, if you have been waiting for delivery and such of your ring lights, then other than one that was ordered last night, pretty much everybody should be out now. Yeah, it kind of helps if I got a board to put them all on. Ah. Time for the delivery of the packages seems to be pretty good, in spite of the fact that it's standard air freight. Like I said, I have sent packages via what is it, express delivery over to the States in the past, and it's almost always taken longer. And I just don't know why. Maybe there's just too many checks and balances. And now I've got one going off to Sri Lanka, and that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. That was a pretty big gamble by the person who bought it. For those sort of scenarios, I kind of prefer it if they have a relative or someone like that who's going between the countries, and then the relative can order it here in Australia, pick it up directly. I deliver it to them via Australia Post, and then they carry it over when they go back on holidays or whatever. Hey Andre, no, for me to do MacBook repairs, people need to send MacBooks to me. Too many $50 eBay specialists are out there. Just the reality of it, and of course, nee man. I do have one or two coming in tomorrow. I've got a local one, and unfortunately, they have broken the display on their. I think it's an A2337. And most likely, it's just not going to be worth fixing. I mean, I think it's like $550 to replace the display on it. That's what it's going to cost them. It's a little hard to justify that on a $1,300 or $1,200 laptop. And I'm not going to pull any miracles and say, you know what, I've actually got a 2337 chassis here that I could take the screen off and we can give you a nice little discount. It'll be a genuine Apple screen. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. It's going to be a case of I order a screen, fit a screen, charge for a screen. I need to keep my collection of known good chassis up to date with good stuff. On the other hand, if they came into the 1466, I'd be like, oh, here, take two. You sure you don't want some more spares? Funnily enough, though, it's the liquid damage ones are rarely the ones I want to see anyway. Because in most cases, it's going to be a no fix. You're not going to be able to properly fix them. And these days, more and more people are actually finally waking up and backing up their data. So they don't really have a need to revive the machine anymore. It's one of the first things I say. It's like, oh, do you have an iCloud backup? And if you do, well, just get a new machine, iCloud backup, restore, you're good to go. Yeah, I don't want to lead people down the path of thinking that their liquid damage machine is going to be as good as it was originally, because while it does occasionally work out that way, too often 6 months later something raises its head up like, hi, I've decided I don't want to work anymore, and I'm probably not the fault of the previous repair, but since the person who repaired it last is always responsible, you're going to have to call Paul and say, hey, I want a refund on my repair, or can you fix it for free? I mean, fair enough, if the fault is something that I did and what I repaired has misbehaved again, fair enough. I actually do have one of those coming in. Maybe it's a backlight situation, and I fixed up. What am I doing? It had a cap that went up to about 50 ohms resistance, which is really strange for a backlight cap. But anyway, it was 50 ohms. Found it, got rid of it, replaced it. Backlight works again. Now it's misbehaving again 3 months later. So my guess is that another one of the caps is just, I'm hoping, another one of the caps has decided to misbehave. I might just have to replace the whole bank of them this time. Now there will be people who will say, why don't you just replace the bank originally? It's like, well, it's a lot of work disturbing 20 odd caps when it's just one that's died. And given that they are failing because of just the fact that they're MLCCs. The failure of one does not imply that there's going to be the failure of multiple. So you replace the one and see how it goes. Particularly if it's just it decided to crack. Different if it's liquid damage and you go, okay, there's 3 or 4 others nearby it, and they're probably going to go as well. But in most cases, if I see that, I tend to replace them anyway. I try to avoid that as much as possible. I don't think I've ever had any real success with the Surface laptops. I tried to spread my wings a little, but that was a real flying into the sun event. What would be nice is if I could see if there's a board view and schematic for a particular machine before I approve of it to be repaired. I mean, it's not a guarantee that you're going to be able to fix it, but it sure helps. Just realised I just put 2 1 microfarads there. Not that it was actually really an issue, but there we go. How hard is that one to get open and get access? See, half the problem with those sort of machines is that you're almost guaranteed to break them just opening them up to fix them. Like, I've got one Samsung device here, and I think the replacement display on them is like $400, $450. And would you believe it, it cracked. Just a tiny little corner thing, but it cracked, and so yeah, now I'm on the hook for that. So that's the big problem with a lot of these devices, is you put yourself into a position of liability, financial liability, just by touching it, and that liability usually exceeds the value of what you're going to make. So it's kind of hard to go ahead with such things. I need to move these out of the way because they are right in the air path, which means if something goes wrong, something gets sucked into the extractor or whatever, they're going to get knocked around. Well, and Andre, if you want to send me an email, see what we can work out. Teresa, I've done all the ring lights. Oh, actually, that's not true. I've got 1 ring light and 1 USB meter for tomorrow. But yeah, thanks, Andre. I really appreciated your message. Get your parts with USB-C. Hey, Greg Foster. I got the mini ports. I'm waiting on the displays. They're taking a little bit longer because I didn't want to pay 100 US dollars on shipping because they said you're in a remote area. We're not going to ship it to you for the $39. Miserable bastards. Well, Andre, yeah, if nothing else, I can cover the postage just to get started. Four screws and the keyboard is magnetically connected. Oh, that's different. Oh, yeah, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah, the attaching ones. Hey, Service PC Specialist, welcome, good evening. We're just cooking things tonight. Yeah, I wasn't expecting the parts to arrive today from DigiKey, but because when I checked the tracking, it said that it was in Townsville at 12 o'clock this morning. And I thought, oh, fair enough, you know, they'll get here on tomorrow's run. And then 2 hours later, the delivery van's here to give it to me. That's pretty unusual. That was through FedEx. And it's unusual for the fact that it actually has to be, you know, we don't have a FedEx van come out. Instead, it's handed off to a regional, what do you call it, courier. And they still managed to get that sorted out. So I was very impressed. Okay, looks like everything's hunky-dory there. Well, it might be interesting to have a look at there, Andre. Like I said, I just don't want to be presumptuous. I don't want people to... yeah, I mean, I can't guarantee anything. And if I can get Vic's, great. I mean, it's all yours back, but it'd be worth leaning on. I've just found too many of them end up having faults that I just simply can't work out. Not enough information about them. And like I said, the liability risk once you touch them. Whoa, what's going on here? Why are you sliding up like that? Morning, Greg. Yeah, Sokolov, they're quite good, it seems, at their deliveries. Meanwhile, my domestic distributor, Element 14, they have gone from delivering stuff overnight, as long as you get the order in by 3 o'clock, all the way from the other side of Australia, to now taking a week. It's really disappointing when companies start taking that path of essentially being useless. Yep. They cut costs, but funny thing is, you know, most people would be happy to pay to get decent shipping times, you know, because a lot of the time you want to get these parts into your project as soon as possible if you're prototyping and things like that. Things that languish around are never a good idea. You start forgetting what you're doing and other things come in. I have to move closer to civilized to the US. I don't know how much longer the US is going to be a civilized country. I kind of feel like that place might diverge into a two-strata country. I could be being paranoid, but I do get worried a lot when I see many things that come out of there. Email should be just pldaniels@gmail.com. Or were you trying to use the PL Daniels one? The PL Daniels @PL Daniels. I'll have to check that. That's kind of scary if that's happening. Oh man, I hope I'm running out of space. Just hang on there. Time to go be a cracker. Oh no, I just... Okay, I'm all good, all good. Peel Daniels one's not working. Okay. This is going to be fun. I'm going to guess there's no space on the server. Okay. We actually do have space. We've got plenty of space. Alright, that's weird. Hmm. Just jump in and see what the logs are showing. Unknown disconnect, unknown disconnect, unknown disconnect. Let's see, serviced, postfix. Oh yeah, good old rimriff. Don't forget the no-hup. What? What's wrong with Dovecot? Not that Dovecot should be involved in this. What the fuck? Why is there a cPanel account in my Let's Encrypt? It's 2022 though, so I think that's not relevant. Oh yeah, CTPC, that's being closed down. Yeah, I don't run that domain anymore. Basically, I reconsolidated everything back to just pldaniels.com. I still have some other domains that I'm keeping, like there's some nice juicy ones that are useful, four-lettered ones, like nqrc.com. But overall, yeah, I'm sort of whittling them down. Because domains are, yeah, it was kind of relevant back in the 90s and 2000 early, but now it really doesn't matter at all. Now it's just a case of as long as you're ranking somewhere in Google, you're good. Whoop, extractor. Hey David. Yeah, that'll sort itself out. It definitely reflows better if I can wait for it to cool down enough and then come back up. Because like I was saying last night, it gives a chance for the components to get warm before the solder is at the reflow point. And that's important because you want the components to be ready for the molten solder, because the flux only has a certain lifespan on the hot plate. And so you want it all to simultaneously come together like a fine marriage. So it may actually change the way I do this. Either I have to get a 200 by 200 hot plate if I want to do 4 at a time, or I should actually, but I really not keen on this idea, I should populate a board, cook it, populate the board, cook, go in that sort of cycle. But I don't like that because that's very wasteful in terms of the efficiency of having to bring the parts out and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, Pro Engineer. I think I had around about 30 or so domains at one point, which isn't a lot, I know, but yeah, I had a good number of them, and then yeah, you just kind of fizzles out, and then before you know it, you realise you're actually a victim of someone else's good business idea. And that is the domain register's idea of making you suffer fear of missing out. I really hate the fact that you have to essentially, if you have a good leading name, you almost have to buy 5 or 6 other suffixes. And that's the bit that I think sucks badly. So I will look forward to when they actually just eliminate suffixes, but I doubt they will. It's just too profitable. Thank you, Andre. Hey, Godfrey Allen. It wasn't too bad when you just had com, org, net, just the 3. And then, of course, you had the country extensions like .au, .ca, .uk. But now it's just become ridiculous now. You have XYZ and live. Oh wow. I've had biz, name, me, and yeah, mostly I just stick with com or org. I just noticed that the crap. Let me get this back on. I just noticed that the rocker, the navigation switch on this, is not sitting properly. So I'm going to have to give it a smidge of flux, not too much because that'll actually get right in on the... There we go. Popped in nicely. I didn't even have to turn it on. Yeah, I think the whole TLD business needs to just be scrapped. But we know it's not going to happen. It's just far too profitable, because anytime they want a new batch of profit, come up with a new TLD and you'll watch a whole bunch of people, particularly well-financed companies, the first thing they'll do is they'll buy up those new TLDs just to stop other people astroturfing them. I think a good example of how that went was way back in the early 90s. I think IBM had their .com, but then someone picked up IBM.net, and they got away with a fair bit of stuff, I think. You had a Class C. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any more. I don't have any more IPv4 blocks. I did for a little bit, but it was too difficult to get it routed around here. Um, and now I just take whatever gets handed to me. I think there's still a couple of Class A's people are holding out on. But it's impressive to see just how much people have done in terms of routing tables, ingenuity, and things like that in order to explicitly avoid having to move to IPv6. And honestly, I can't blame them. IPv6 really probably should have been something like V6 version 2 or so, I don't know, because most people were anticipating when they went from V4 to V6 in terms of like more bytes. Most people were anticipating there was going to be just a 2-byte prefix or suffix involved on the existing numbers scheme. Instead, we came out with this colossal academic orgasm, and it was like, yep, that's going to take. And here we are, 25 years on, and still not having a lot of luck in getting people to go to IPv6. I suppose for the most part, the conversion has happened behind the scenes for the most people, and we're all still doing the natting. And just, yeah, I'll just take a 192.168, or I'll have a 10.00 somewhere. But yeah, V6 is just nasty. Yeah. Nasty in terms of understanding it when you're looking at it quickly. I suppose, though, if you get used to it and do it every day, it's probably not so bad. But yeah, I feel like I don't know. Maybe it was a case of they had been burned so bad with coming short on doing upgrades. Like when you think of the number of times we had to change hard drive mapping standards, and no sooner you are ready to buy a new hard computer or something, all of a sudden the mapping on your old IDE hard drive doesn't work with the new BIOS and things like that. It's like, yeah. So I think, someone who suffered that kind of experience really forced the whole let's go all the way with V6, and they kind of overshot. Like I said, it was an academic orgasm when really we probably just needed to prefix 2 bytes to the front, and that would have been good. But yeah, I mean, once you're behind a router, it's like, yeah, let's just bring out 10.00 or 192.168. So who cares about the rest? If it happens automatically through my router, great, I don't care. But when it comes into this network, we obey we obey IPv4 in here. I mean, I understand, there's the whole routing, firewalling advantages. There's a whole lot of advantages with V6, but it was a case of... Sorry, I'm choking up here with excitement. It was a case of second system syndrome, it seems. And just, way too much. Alright, inspection time. First thing we care about is this one, and looks like we're good there. Bit of inconsistency on that pin 4 or 5 there, but it doesn't seem to cause any issues. Okay, looks acceptable. Yeah, Andrea, I sort of felt the same. Because back in well, let's say, 2005, 2006 sort of area. I'm thinking, I really need to get up to speed with this V6. And it was just such a, yeah, it was like, no. After a couple of days, I was like, no, no. Hey, creature. Certainly, I think for if you've got a very large corporation, you've got the money and the heads for it, fine. But for probably 95% of businesses connecting to the internet, no, we've got a bridge and a drift. Alright. This one's risky, so I'll have to actually hot plate this one and just nudge it across. I can't. While I can clear that bridge, the problem is that the ground pad on the underside is probably touching one of those. So yeah, that one has to be hot plated. Yeah, it's a lot of stray blobs. A lot of stray blobs. It's because the stencil is currently. Oh look, we've got. Is that the same? Yep, yeah, they're both gonna. They got the same fault in the same place. All right, we'll just hot plate them up. Give them a nudge, and they'll be good. I'll just teeny tiny a bit of flux on both. Okay, that's not teeny tiny. That's quite a bit. That's getting up to Rossmann levels. The main reason why I went with 24 is because it means I could put a chain of 7 of these LEDs in series. So there's 4 channels, 7 LEDs each, and to run 7 LEDs, the closest common standard of voltage is 12. Pardon me, 24. If I wanted to go 12, I would have had to do some sort of boost or end up with 2 controllers with 3 or 4 LEDs per channel. So it was more complication, and 24 volts is already fairly common. You need to make a 3D print from a scope so I can fit the ring light to. Can you not get it just like a straight through Barlow or a protector lens? Basically, just picking 24 volts simplifies the design considerably. Can you slay the ring light to a hot shit so you have a... It wouldn't make a very good flash. It's not bright enough for a flash. But I mean, no reason you can't with a relay. I mean, basically I drive my microscope, I drive mine with a relay. Although that'd be a bit slow if you wanted it as an actual flash. You want a flash to be a little bit quicker than that. Yeah, creature, That and the fact that the stencil is a bit, well, I'm not, like I said, I'm not holding it flat enough when I do my stuff. Because I'm getting excess thickness of the paste. And so it's kind of wanting to go somewhere. I'll probably start putting them into my oven soon. You know, once I stop doing nighttime videos, then they'll just go into the oven. And at least the oven's got the proper reflow profiles. And the oven I've got does handle the aluminium without any trouble, as opposed to the piece of crap one that I had before. I threw that out, by the way. I didn't even try and fix anything more on it or make it work better. I just like threw it. It was like, you're out of here. I got suckered into buying it, and yeah, it's the price I pay. I was just thinking, yeah, Paul, you don't want to build another flippin' reflow oven. Just buy one. But of course, yeah, if you want to buy one, you need to get a proper one. And I thought, but I'm only going to do small jobs. That reflow oven could probably do one ring light at a time. And that would be about it. Oh wait, what am I looking for? I'm looking for 1.6, 1.7 screws. Yeah. Yeah, you're the reflow oven controller. Yeah, I'm too lazy for that. Like I said, I'll make a device to do it, but I'm not going to do it. Let's see development, PLD, see microscope light. USB 4. Right. Let's get the orientations right for a start. Don't want to go blowing random stuff up. Get it flashed. Flashed. These hot ones should be just cool enough now. Well, I can flash them, but I just can't fire them up yet, so because the AVR controller is sufficiently isolated from the LED driver, so that's fine. I can program them. I just can't power them up without first clearing those bridges if they've still got them. Otherwise, it could be another little video of things catching on fire. Okay, alright, so we still have the bridge, and that's not a problem, because that's very easy to clear. It's very easy to clear because we just give a bit of comforting warmth. The main thing was the position of the chip in terms of over its pads. There we go, we're good. Marvellous. Alright. Power up time. Which may also be smoke time, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Hey there, Coolman. Oh yeah, that's power up. Yep. When it blinks, when it's at maximum brightness, that's kind of like a rev limiter on an engine. It's it telling me we're at maximum brightness, Captain. Okay. Okay, they all look good. I'll clean up that caramel juicy flux that we left there. Should have actually done that before I did this, but no, well. Can't be perfect, my name isn't Creature. This will come off, it'll just take a little bit of dissolving, but it will get there. Might have to add a little bit of heat to help it. And we won't leave any white curly hairs there. Added some lead strips to your 3D printers, but they flicker when it holds a temp. Holds a temp? Oh, you mean like does it over get too hot or what? You just come on, you're nearly there. I'm using the Q-tips, earbuds, whatever you want to call them, rather than toothbrush because toothbrushes are great, but they have a strong tendency to flick more flux alcohol combination everywhere. And so you're trying to reduce the amount of collateral damage around the board. Instead, you use a toothbrush and it's like watching a hippo. If you ever seen a hippopotamus go potty, you'll understand. If you haven't seen a hippopotamus go potty, don't. And if you do intend to, don't stand anywhere near it. The joys of Africa. I'm going to heat this one up a little bit. When the heating element reaches its temperature when it's maintaining 210, the flick... that's kind of odd. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that. Okay. Brunk. let's see, we need some ring assemblies. 2 and 2. 2 by 2, rings of blue. Actually, I think those... I might respin those black ones. Okay, we're going to go 4. Let's get ourselves 4 heat sinks. And where did I put my 1.7 screws? The trouble with the 1.7s is that it's such a small bag that it's easy to lose them. Oh yeah, got them. Why didn't someone tell me about the caramel on that section? Forgot about that. I had to pop that little navigator switch down. Right, fortunately that one wasn't too hard to get rid of. That's way too... they're not even magnetic. The only trouble with some of these screws, or a lot of these screws, is that they don't really have a lot of magnetic properties about them. Good, attractive ones. I mean, obviously they've got magnetic properties. The property of not attracted. Oops. Wow, someone's asleep on the job. Right. What is SRA flux? Some random flux? SRF? I've still got a few tubes of Amtech still sitting around, and even though technically it's long past the expiry date on that tube, it still works well enough. See if we can get a slightly... Oops. No, the little one works better. Yeah, it sounds like it's related to the thermostat actually kicking in and out, or the power to the heater element. And it could be that when it kicks back in, there's a momentary drop. This is a very, definitely a bit of a boring process overall, and to think I'm going to have to do this for quite a few more times. But sometimes in life you have to do stuff that doesn't always set your heart on fire. Like putting the rubbish out. Okay. What have we got for time? 11:36. So we should definitely have this done before midnight, which will be good, because I don't want to languish. Yeah, it's not too bad if you sort of go, well, okay, look, every night I'm going to spend, let's see, 2 hours. 2 hours building these things, so 30 minutes a unit, plus whatever else there is in packaging and all that stuff. Probably wouldn't be quite as long if I wasn't chit-chatting. But then again, at the same time, maybe the chit-chat helps. Just, stave the boredom off. Yep. I have found I can buy this tape in fairly large rolls. The trick for me now, though, is to find these pre-cut in large quantities. I can find it for the 6mm high version, but these are the 10mm high version. Honestly, I don't think it's making a considerable difference, because the thing is, the 6mm version probably has almost the same exposed surface area on the fins. So I may be overdoing it on the height for no real reason. I suppose the real way to find out is you run the 10mm equipped version and at the same time run the 6mm equipped version and just see how they go in terms of overall heat, the temperature of the LEDs or whatever at various places. And that would basically put the issue to bed. Get some hot data and see what happens. On the other hand, I can actually get 20mm tall ones, so twice as tall as that. That's some serious bling bling upgrade. But I'm not too sure on just how effective that extra 10mm would be. Like, you go from 10 to 20, you do have a bit of a law of diminishing returns there. starting to happen. But it kind of looks cool. I wasn't sure whether I wiped this or not. Okay, squeaky noises, I like that. Squeaky is good. No room of tall heat sinks. Well, mine will actually, I can easily fit a 30mm tall heat sink on mine. No trouble at all. In fact, I could probably, anything up to about a 50mm tall heatsink I could fit. Yeah, you should be able to. I can't imagine why you wouldn't be able to. And I have got my, I have my microscope set with the tapered part of the head holder facing down, so it actually would have less room than the people who have turned it the other way up. And if I can fit 50mm under there, then I'm pretty sure pretty much everyone should be able to. Yeah, anyway. Right, well, they're looking good. Actually find the yellow, blue and black, yeah, this color combo quite neat. Kind of like it more than the all black. That's pretty cool. Which one am I going here? I don't know. There? Yep. Let's see. Okay, I've got a 6mm heatsink here. So this is a 6mm. Although it is slotted. That's the other. The fins are not continuous, so it's being cross-slotted. Some people would argue that that helps with the airflow situation, and maybe it does, I don't know. This is why really at the end of the day you just have to get a pair of them, same scenario, and test them. I mean, how else are you going to work it out? I mean, I suppose you could do some thermodynamic fluid analysis, blah 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 blah, or you can spend 10 minutes and test it. So yeah, they're the two differences. So this is the 10mm that I'm fitting currently versus 6mm. So what have we got? 6 fins versus 8 fins. And as you can see what I mean by it's got the cross slotting, whereas this does not. I have a feeling that if there is a difference, it's going to be potentially minor, maybe 1 or 2 Celsius. I don't imagine it's going to be a lot. Focus. No, that's as far as I can go, yep. Yeah, Blee Bud, that's what I'm kind of wondering, because you basically are calculating, okay, what is the heatsink to air surface area, and so obviously having more fins compensates for the height. So, yeah, it could go either way. Like I said, I just need to test it. There is more thermal mass, but then we're trying to evaluate whether this has a superior thermal resistance, though, or I should say lower thermal resistance. So does the smaller heatsink have a lower thermal resistance? In other words, heat can get in and out quicker. This obviously will have greater thermal mass, as you say, but will it be able to get rid of it? Because the only thing thermal mass is going to help you with is wicking away initially, but once it reaches saturation, it's got to get rid of it still. So yeah, it's going to be a case of let's test and find out. And guess who doesn't have a suitable thermometer for that sort of work? Oh well. But yeah, the easiest thing would be just, you know, get that one there, get that one there, or keep them separated, turn them back to both to maximum brightness and see how it goes. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be a significant difference, but I could easily be wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. The other thing is, I'm pretty sure that's about a 0.3 mil thick thermal transfer tape. I can get 0.1 mil thick. Obviously it's not as pliant, but I think because both of our surfaces are very flat, like we've got a very flat, obviously the heatsink, well, relatively flat, and then the aluminium itself is relatively flat. I think I can get away with the 0.1, and by switching to the 0.1, that should help with the rate of heat transfer as well. So yeah, these are just things that you try to think about optimizing in the over time. Like, I mean, the ring light holder adapter, you see it's slotted. That's to help with making sure the aluminium is exposed to as much air as I can. I mean, as it is, obviously the hottest area is probably going to be around this top section because it's furthest away from, the dissipation element. We'll see. But at the level of brightness that I generally run, I can keep my finger on the aluminium edge without any problem. When I go to maximum brightness, it's slightly ouchy, which means it's probably running around about 55, maybe 60 at the most, which is still well down on anything we've got to be worried about. Predict there won't be much in it since there's no active cooling. Well, yeah, that's pretty much about where it's going to be. It's its own active cooling, man. It's like the heat from the heat sink causes the air to rise, which causes, through the Bernoulli effect, more air to come in and keep it cool. Honestly, someone could probably say that seriously, but I'm not sure I can. What would be more of a laugh is if no heat sink is actually the coolest option. That would be the biggest laugh of all. Because I gotta admit, I actually haven't tested to see if that would be the case. I just added the heatsink on because I wanted to mostly ensure that the chips were kept within a reasonable temperature range. Water-cooled ring light, oh, that would be cool, yeah. Someone needs to do that. Yeah, 3D printed water-cooled LED light. I don't doubt that someone will think of doing that. Yeah, so I should try all three. No heatsink, 6 mil, 10 mil. I could buy a couple of the 22 mils, but yeah, I really don't think it's going to make much of a difference there. It will initially, obviously, as was said, the thermal mass of the 22 mil will really come in handy, but once it comes up to working temperature, soaking with the heat, it's not going to make any real difference. Alright, well, it's 10 to midnight, so I am going to wrap up. Thank you all for watching once again, and hopefully, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe tomorrow I'll get some more USB meters done. I was kind of wanting to wait for the displays to arrive so that I can go from doing the reflow, the pick and place, the reflow, finishing everything all in one job rather than having to do the boards and then come back tomorrow and do the next step. But we'll see. We'll see. Alright, I'm out of here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Until then, you take care. I'll catch you later.